On this bonus episode of the unofficial Sonny and Cher podcast this week, we talk about midfielders finally coming to the party in a massive fashion. We talk about strikers. Is two strikers the way forward in FPL now? And we look at fixture congestion over the Christmas period. And should you have that in mind when transferring players in and out of your teams?
Well, welcome to this very unique bonus episode. Sorry, I'm clicking my pen now. That's really annoying. To this episode with me and Siege. You'll notice that this week, if you follow us on Instagram or on socials or anything, you'll notice that we're gonna do two episodes this week. So the reason being is me and Siege are gonna just delve into what's coming up in terms of game week 17 and what's coming up in terms of fantasy. Really just delve into that in deep. And then later on in the week, on our normal Friday release, we have a special guest. Charlie is going to be joining us on the pod, where we'll be talking more things about Arsenal. We'll be talking about our fantasy league, some more stats in there, and then we'll obviously have your game at the end, then Siege. So this episode is purely fantasy chat. No beating around the bush here, Siege. We'll give it to everyone straight.
That's what I like.
Let's do it.
Sweet. Just before I get into it, like and subscribe on Spotify and YouTube. We'd really love. We've actually started filming. We've got a new platform now we're filming our pods on. So we're actually putting the whole episodes onto YouTube. And actually our AFCON ep we did last week or the week before, Butler, actually got our most amount of views. And predominantly a lot of those were on YouTube. So people obviously like that. So if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. And if you're on Spotify, please follow us. Like, we really appreciate that going forward. It's really, really helpful. But yeah, we'll jump straight in. I've called this section Midfielders Come to the Party. So game week 16 was the week. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Game week 16 is the week where midfielder players hauled in a big way. So I'm just going to go through a list of midfielders. Then we're going to dive into a few who we have mentioned already, but I do think it's important we continue to talk about these specific players moving forward. But we had two huge hauls at the top. We had Callum Hudson-Odoi with 19 points. He got 2 goals and assists. And then we had Ibrahim Sangare, also for Forest in the same game, getting 18 points with 1 goal and 2 assists. So from the 3 Forest goals, they played a huge part. So 19 and 18 points for a midfielder is a massive haul. And then underneath that, we had Harry Wilson with 16 points, a goal and 2 assists in Fulham's 3-1 win away at Burnley. Morgan Rogers, closely behind, 15 points. He scored a brace in Villa's comeback win against West Ham. Bruno Fernandes, another excellent display on Monday night against Bournemouth in that incredible game. He got 13 points, 1 goal and 1 assist. Marcus Tavernier in the same game, also 1 goal and 1 assist. He got 12 points. And then we have Bukayo Saka, who got his 2 assists sort of fortuitously in that Wolves game, getting 11 points. And then Phil Foden getting another double-digit haul with 11 points with 1 goal. Before we discuss them, mate, I just wanted to say, what I actually noticed throughout this list was every player, bar Phil Foden, had more than 1 attacking return. So, for example, either multiple assists, multiple goals, or a goal and an assist. So I really think this makes a huge difference in a single game week, particularly if you have 2 or more of these players in your team, and especially if you have a differential such as Harry Wilson. But what do you think about these massive hauls this week, mate, from these midfielders?
The first thing that came to my head when you were listing all that off and saying that they got more than 1 goal involvement is is this a one-off? Are they leading us into a false pretense here? I've already seen that today that Harry Wilson has already been transferred in 800,000 times this week.
Okay, is he the most transferred in? Is he the most transferred in?
I think so. Let me just. I've got the fantasy status here. It appears that way. Yeah, 873,000 people have transferred in Harry Wilson this week, which is again, a phenomenal amount of people. That only means one thing, that the curse of the most transferred in player is going to come to fruition this weekend, doesn't it? He's going to do nothing. He's probably going to get injured, and that will be that for the rest of our
Definitely,
year.
yeah, no, yeah, it's a tough one, Wilson. We'll go on to him a little bit later, but no, I think you're so right about that. The only thing with Wilson, he is showing a little bit of form. It's not like he's done this massive haul out of nowhere. It is on the back of sort of 3 or 4 weeks. So jumping on now, I think I was lucky I jumped on last week. I had tipped him for a couple of weeks and I finally pulled the trigger last week, which really helped. But I'm just going to delve into two of these players, particularly. Wilson we'll talk about a little bit later. But so Morgan Rogers and Phil Foden. I'll talk about Morgan Rogers first. So he has 4 goals and 1 assist in his last 5 games and picked up his second 15-point haul of the season. Currently playing for the most informed team in the league, being Villa. And I believe that this factor alone adds to his appeal in FPL. And as he's literally their main man, as Watkins is really, really underperforming this year. Just to go on to Foden then. Unbelievable form at the moment. 6 goals and 1 assist in his last 4 games. First time in FPL history, he's produced 4 double-digit hauls in a row, scoring 55 points in that run. His price has now risen to 8.8 mil, and his ownership is now over 35% across the game. And I just put in here, because you, Butler, put this fantastic little, I think it was from X, wasn't it? FPL Gundo. So he put, FPL is funny. I bought Foden at 8.1 mil back in game week 6 and at some point lost value from him and he went down to 8 mil. I sold him in game week 12 after doing nothing for 6 game weeks. Then from game week 13 to 16, he gets a double-digit haul in every game week and rises to 8.8 mil. If your mood depends on the outcome, you'll never enjoy FPL. You just have to laugh it off and not care so much. Other opportunities will always arise. A lovely take on a very frustrating few months for owners that don't own Phil Foden. But yeah, what do you think about those particularly? Maybe talking about Rogers first, and I know you sort of tipped him in our AFCON app last
Yeah,
week.
I was really annoyed at myself. Really. I couldn't get him in, so I had my 5 free transfers. I just, the fact that Phil Foden had gone up 0.1 of a million meant I couldn't get him in for what I originally planned to get him Rogers in as well.
Yeah.
I would have had Saka, Fernandez, Rogers, and Foden was my
Oof.
target, but I
And
couldn't.
Wilson. Did you have Wilson as well, didn't you?
I had Wilson as well. Yeah, that was my dream midfield, and then
Yeah.
I really would have sacrificed just having Haaland up front with Thiago and some other like Calvert Lewin or someone
Yeah.
really cheap. That was going to be my target. It didn't work out that way. I couldn't wrangle it into my team. But the other point I want to call out here is Foden and Rogers are both English. How many amazing number 10s do England have heading into the World Cup? We've got, I mean, I know this is fantasy, but just quickly, we've got Palmer, who's slowly coming back to fitness. You've got Bellingham, you've got Rogers, you've got Foden, you've got Eze,
Yeah.
you've got Morgan Gibbs White. I mean, the list is incredible. And 2 or 3 of those are going to miss out on going to the World Cup, which would be phenomenal. But on Rodgers and Aston Villa, they've got a tough run of games coming up
Yeah.
now.
They
So
have.
it'd be interesting to see how Emery goes about it. I personally do feel they'll probably be fine because United are going to be a bit lighter up front with Mbuemo disappearing, Diallo's disappearing. It'd be interesting to see how they are. Chelsea, I think, are beatable at the moment. So I think if you've got Rodgers, you're not getting rid of him, are you?
No.
And I
No, no,
think,
no. But I was thinking, like you said, I was looking at the fixtures. I was literally because I picked Gordon instead of Rodgers stupidly, because I would have had, if I'd have picked Rodgers, had the same midfield as what you were planning. So I just missed out. But I was
Yeah, but
thinking
you
of
know
literally
what's going to
just,
happen this week.
yeah. I was thinking of straight swapping Gordon to Rodgers, and I thought, like, is it worth doing that, or do I wait for these fixtures? Like, the only thing with Rodgers, he's slightly cheaper than Gordon, but like you said, if you've got him, you're definitely keeping him. I'm not sure if I'm bringing him in. I don't know after that, but
I
like,
think I'm not bringing him in now. I think I'll just
no,
hold off. The fact that I couldn't get him in, fine. I'll now hold off probably until they play Forest, but then they've got Palace straight after that, who again are so good defensively. I think
yeah, definitely,
it's a tough one,
definitely.
isn't it?
I think as well when you talk about that England spot, and it's really interesting actually because people were calling for Rodgers and Foden's heads at the beginning of the season. I put here, Rodgers only scored one goal and provided two assists in the
But
first
Villa had a
11
slow
game
start,
weeks.
didn't they? Watkins was the same.
Yeah,
Like,
but Foden only scored one and got one assist in the first 12 game weeks. But it just shows that how a particularly international duty for England. Yes, we've got all these players, but I think form is so key coming into that tournament. Like, if you pick the team now, you would have Roger and Foden in that team. You might not even have Bellingham in that team at the moment on current form. You're probably always going to pick Bellingham, but people are saying, like Theo Walcott said at the weekend, like Rodgers has to start. Like, I don't think he has to start in current form. Him and Foden definitely have to start, but it'll be really interesting to see when the World Cup comes around who is actually in form. Don't be wrong, if these two can keep it
I think
up, which I'm,
I think Tuchel quite likes Rodgers though, because he's played quite a lot under him, and I think he quite
yeah,
liked him. And there's something about Morgan Rodgers; he's just got this touch of magic
yeah, yeah,
about
definitely
him,
has.
and I think he's underrated's probably the wrong word, but I don't think he's talked enough about of how good he actually is. Like, and
Yeah,
I don't think he gets an because we've got England have got so many good number 10s. I don't think Rodgers is talked about in the same veins as Palmer
yeah, no, agreed.
and
Not yet,
Foden for
not
that
yet
matter.
anyway. Not yet anyway. Definitely not. Definitely not. But yeah, we'll move on to a couple more players. Harry Wilson, we'll just briefly touch on Harry Wilson, but he's amassed 42 points in his last four games with 7 goal involvements, 3 goals, 4 assists, now up to 5.6 million. And as Butler said, the most transferred in player this week, and he's 15% owned. So I think when I bought him in, or we bought him in, sorry, last week, he was 6% owned or something. So it was a massive differential last week. His next two fixtures are excellent. Forest at home, West Ham away, but then he plays Palace, Liverpool, and Chelsea in the space of 3 weeks. So I'll be interested to see if FPL managers who bought him in stick with him through those tricky fixtures. He's quite a nice one for me and you to keep as we got him at a slightly cheaper price. And he's definitely the best budget midfielder at the moment as he takes corners, free kicks. And the way he took that goal against Burnley, was frightening finish. It'd be really interesting to see. What are you thinking with Wilson? Are you going to keep him after the West Ham game as that fifth midfielder?
Yeah, I think so. I think because of his value,
Yeah.
um, I think it'd be rash to take him out just because he's got a tough run of fixtures. He costs nothing, and if he carries on in this form, you're gonna double your value, aren't you? That well, not double. What I mean is, I think I bought him for 5.4. He's already gone up to 5.6 this week. It's probably likely to go up one more before the game week comes. So yeah, I'll probably stick with him.
Yeah, definitely. Same with me as well. Moving on to Bruno. Bruno Fernandes picked up double-digit hauls in back-to-back game weeks with another excellent performance against Bournemouth, sorry, in United's 4-4 draw, with a goal and assist following a massive 18-point haul against Wolves in game week 15. Fernandes is now comfortably the highest scoring midfielder in FPL this season with 98 points and the second highest overall point scorer behind Haaland. And I don't think he's going to show any sign of slowing down as United have excellent fixtures up to game week 21. Villa away this game week is probably the hardest. After that, they have Newcastle at home, Wolves at home, Leeds away, Burnley away. He's now nearly 30% owned across the game. Surely a must have, mate. Surely, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you know how much I don't like talking about Bruno, but how can you not in the I mean, I said what about 5 weeks ago that I'd never have him in my team again, and he's been in my team the last 3 weeks. I mean, it just it, he's just world class, isn't he? He runs that team, and whatever happens with United, whether there's a goal or a chance or a cross or a free kick or a corner or a penalty, he's there. He's there to take it. So I honestly think if you don't have him, what other premium midfielders have you got that are in the same vein of form that he's in? That if you do have him, you're taking a risk, aren't you? That you don't have him. So I think
Definitely, definitely. Definitely, and it's well, like we said on previous weeks, he's got so many routes to points, goals, assists, DEFCON, clean sheet, and I think with Bruno, like Jamie Carragher was interesting to hear him on Monday Night Football when he was talking about although it was 4-4, he actually likes how United are playing at the moment. Like they are on the attack, like they scored 4 in consecutive games. Like surely, if United are scoring goals, that is going to benefit Fernandes, particularly in
it
FPL, because
it
he's
it
going to
will.
be involved,
Yeah,
isn't he?
I know we talked about it briefly last week in the AFCON thing. It will be interesting to see what United are like with because Mazraoui, Dalot,
Yes.
Diallo, and Mbeumo are
Mm.
all absent from the squad. So it'd be interesting for me to see who he puts in Ahmed's place at right
Yeah,
wing
true.
back, whether he brings Dalot across, but I don't know then who he'd play left wing back.
Yeah, will be interesting to
Um,
see, definitely. It's nice having
I
Cunha
think
back
they'd
though,
be all
Spurs,
right
isn't
out
it?
front because Mason Mount's in some good vein of form
Yeah,
as well at the moment, and Cunha is, I think, he's just not getting the goals um,
he
that
looked good, to be
he
fair. He
probably
looked good
deserved.
against Bournemouth, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the way that United are playing at the moment, that attacking style, I think it will suit them. Have it with Sesko coming back to fitness at the right time as
Yes.
Mbeumo disappears. The ball will start coming into the box more, and that's what he'll thrive on, won't it? And I think
Yeah.
um, be interesting, but we'll be interested to see how United go, especially the next 2 games before they go on that lovely little run. Um,
Yeah.
Villa and Newcastle are not easy games, but United are in. How many games have they won in a row now? Is that?
I'm not sure actually. They drew to Bournemouth, so
Of course they did. Yeah, because there's that guy, isn't there, who's not cutting his hair until United win 5 in a row, and it's
yeah.
so long now.
Yeah, he was close a few weeks back and then it ended again, it had to start again. But
Well, I think if they'd beaten Bournemouth, that would have been 4 in a row.
maybe,
Oh, no,
yeah.
because they drew to West Ham as well, didn't they? Oh, yeah, he's screwed.
Yeah. The final midfielder we'll talk about just briefly is Cole Palmer. He picked up his first attacking return since game week 4 against Everton. But when is the perfect time to bring in the midfielder? So from game week 21, he has Fulham, Brentford, and Palace. Then after game week 24, it's West Ham, Wolves, Leeds, and Burnley. 3 of those games are at home as well. So that's hopefully about the time Palmer should be picking up speed. I think he's definitely one to keep an eye on. And just a little shout out to Peaks for bringing him in this week. He's the only one to do so in our
Yeah, we
league.
only got 6
I,
points.
yeah, I'm not doing it just yet because the minutes aren't there. But by the time he gets, particularly to that little run from game week 24, if he's not in my team by then, I'm sure I will be making a move to get him in if he's showing the form that he looked like he looked good against Everton, to be fair to him. He looked good. What do you think?
Well, we know he's a world-class player, but I think he's had so many injuries the last
Yeah.
12 months, and he was obviously burnt out at the back end of last season where he went really quiet for a prolonged period of time. I really think Maresca will take it easy with him in the coming weeks. I don't think he's not going to force him in. Look, he's played the last 2 games he's played what, 57 minutes each one. They're
Yeah.
not gonna play him they're not gonna play him midweek, unlikely to play him midweek. If they do, it'll be really light minutes. I think he'll be lucky to play 65 minutes
Yeah.
again next weekend. I think you're right in terms of their fixtures coming up. Chelsea have got a real tough run of games. I think give him some more time, see what he does over the next few weeks. Then we could probably revisit it. We could be sat here going, "Oh, he's injured again," or we could be sat here going,
Yeah.
"Damn, I wish we were
Get him
peaks and we
in.
had him in. We wish we had him in like
Absolutely
3
that.
weeks ago."
Yeah, yeah. So true. So true. But yeah, definitely one just to keep an eye on, particularly as a premium. We'll move on to strikers. Is two strikers the way forward in
Yes.
FPL? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think it is.
And yeah, I think you're absolutely spot on. As we mentioned in the previous pod, apart from Haaland, strikers have been the hardest players to pick this season, and their returns have been much lower than previous years in FPL. We're seeing many managers sacrifice their third striker spot in their team to allow more money to be spread around their teams and bolster their midfields and defensive. So 3-5-2 formations, 4-4-2s, 5-3-2s, even 4-5-1s have been adopted this season to great effect. Opted to do this week with my 5-3 transfer, so I used 4. I was really debating. I was actually debating putting Calvert-Lewin in, and I actually thought he's obviously doing well, but I thought I'm not actually probably going to play this third striker. So like, why would I pick Calvert-Lewin? So I just
That
went for
makes sense.
Mark Guiu. He's 4.2, and I thought instead of picking Calvert-Lewin, I'm saving myself another 1.5 mil pretty much. And I can
Mm.
then put it into Fernandes. And that allowed me to sort of stack out that midfield. And yes, Gordon didn't perform. It allowed me to go for a Gordon over a Guimaraes sort of thing. But that was my way of doing it. But what I wanted to ask you, mate, the question is, who do you pair with Haaland, sorry, for the foreseeable future? Many managers have gone for Thiago at Brentford due to the striker being in excellent form and having favourable fixtures. But I just wanted to put a couple of other players on people's radars for potential transfers in over the next few
I
weeks.
bet one of
Firstly,
them's
mate,
Jared Bowen, isn't it? Everyone comes
yeah,
back to Jared Bowen. We
I
always
know,
people always come back to him. I mean, he is
I know.
consistent, to be fair.
He is consistent. Before we talk about him, what are your thoughts on Thiago, honestly? Like, is he a keep for a long time, or is he just,
Uh,
was it
for for
lucky if you got him in?
for me, I suppose it depends when you got him in, right?
Yeah,
Because his value has soared in terms of. So I got him in when he was 6.6 mil. He's now worth 7.2 mil.
yeah.
So
I was similar to you, I think, as well.
I just, because for me he doesn't cost much. I
Yeah,
think he's a good supplement for your number 2. He's on penalties.
yeah, makes a
Um,
difference, definitely.
I don't know. I'm not sold on him. I think I'm not sold on any striker apart from Haaland, if I'm totally honest. And I think a lot of managers are in the same boat as us. I think we seem to bounce around. But I think for now I'll stick with Thiago because I've got him and he costs nothing. Um,
Yeah,
it's the other side of him, as you've just said, is what do I do? Do I just bin the third striker off completely for the £4 million Mark Gee, or do I try it again and find that other 6.5 million type player, like a Calvert Lewin type? But he's not going to get you. It's not going to be consistent goals, and that's what you need when you're spending that money. Really, I think that's the difficulty,
yeah,
right? If you're
it
spending
is.
7 mil on a striker, you're expecting him to return you for the season about 15 goals. And at the
Yeah,
moment, there's no one. Maybe Jared Bowen will get 15. I don't doubt it. Who knows? But no one else is really doing that. Walter Marder's gone quiet. I'm sure you'll get into the other details in a minute. The only one that scares me slightly is Ekatike, but
yeah,
he's nearly
yeah,
9 million. And there's still this little 6-7 of what we do
yeah,
with
yeah,
what we do with Ekatike and Isak. Like, You know, he's not going to bench it. I don't know. He wants to play both of them, and I just don't think it's going to work. But
Yeah, well, let's talk about Ekatike first. So I've got Hugo Ekatike. I've got two players who you've named already: Jared Bowen, Hugo Ekatike, particularly for the next and upcoming game week. So I wanted to look right now rather than sort of like a Palmer and planning. I wanted it to be right now. Hugo Ekatike, he's actually 8.6 million. He's now 20% owned across the game. He's fourth in overall points for strikers this season, which was interesting, but he's only got something like 68 points in the whole season. And he's off the back of 26 points in 2 weeks with 4 goals. I
yeah, and he
put
did
here,
nothing before that, did he?
no,
I don't think he
no,
did anything. And I've just got him up. He didn't do anything since game week 5. Between game week 5 and game week 14, he did nothing.
yeah. Yeah, and I just put here, after this recent form, he looks to have cemented particularly that number 9 position at Liverpool. I've said for the next month, and I was speaking to you, weren't we? Were texting. I think he's cemented that place in the Prem, and they have Wolves at home, Leeds at home in game week 18 and 19, which, in terms of 2 home fixtures back to back, you cannot ask for 2 better fixtures, but the only thing with Ekatike is the price. I put here, you may need a few free transfers to get him in. So I was looking at it, and is he worth the investment? I think for those 2 games, yes. But I was looking at, I think I'd have to maybe get rid of Thiago. I could get rid of Thiago, move Gordon to Rodgers, but then I'd have to sacrifice one of my so I'd almost have to sacrifice Gay or O'Reilly to go down to an Alderete 4 mil to get Ekatike in. So it's a big, do you know what I mean? It's going to come at a big cost, but it could really be rewarded. But yeah, Ekatike, thoughts, mate?
Yeah, I'm not as confident as you are that he's cemented a
I
place.
know you're not. I know you're not.
I find it difficult that Liverpool spent a lot of money on both those players. He's
Yeah,
not. He's just gone through a bit of drama with Salah of him not playing. If you start benching Isak consistently and not giving him minutes, you're gonna get the same noise.
yeah,
And I think that's when Slot loses the dressing room. He's gonna have to find the balance between them, and I do think it will mean he'll rotate them. I They haven't
yeah.
got a game this week, have they? They haven't got a game midweek, have
No.
they, Liverpool? Because they're out of the League Cup,
No,
aren't they?
we'll actually talk. We're going to finish this pod on just the fixtures in terms of the congestion, but Liverpool are the right side of that. They haven't, now they're out of the cup, they haven't actually got many fixtures compared to other teams. But yeah, that's a massive thing. And you are right. Like, he does need to give Isak minutes, but I just don't think they're going to be in the Prem. Well, obviously, he
Yeah,
will
but
get minutes,
I
but
think
not.
he will. I think what he'll do is he'll play them both. With Salah now gone to
Yeah,
AFCON, I think
true.
he's going to play both, and he's going to play one of them off the left. And I don't know which one, and I've got a feeling
Yeah,
it will be Ekatike off the left, and I just don't think that will suit. He's better through the middle. I just don't think it's not going to work having both of them. I could be proved wrong. Look, what do I know? I'm
yeah.
not a football manager. I don't know.
Be interesting to see, like you said, when Salah's gone, what sort of who they play, and then you can almost make your decision from there. Like, I'm
Let's
gonna
see what they do against
try.
Spurs this weekend.
Yeah,
Let's see. Let's see what they do. If he gets them both in the
definitely.
team and it works, then there could be some minus point taking to get Ekatike
Yeah,
in for those 2 games.
yeah.
Let's see
I'm
first.
gonna wait. I'm gonna wait because if I don't do a transfer, I'll have 3, I think, for that game week potentially, and then I can do that. But we'll see. But yeah, no, the other player is then Jared Bowen. So the thing that really is appealing for me with Bowen is not only the fixtures, which we'll go on to later, is his price. So he's currently 7.5 mil, having gone down from 8 mil, which he was at the start of the season. 6.5% owned.
Yeah, it's enough. That's
actually
the differential
third.
right there, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's the differential
third
right.
in total points of all strikers this season with 74, which I think's gone really under the radar. And as we said earlier, minute ago, sorry, he's always super consistent in FPL. And the fact he's managing to still return points in that current West Ham team is incredible. But if we just look at the fixtures from game week 18, obviously they've got City this weekend. I wouldn't be moving just yet. But from game week 18, they have Fulham at home, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Forest at home, Spurs away, Sunderland at home. And after that, they've even got a fair. I think they've got Burnley away in a couple of games after that. And I just put to end in terms of if you want to move from Thiago to Bowen, it's a lot easier than going to Ekatike. It could potentially be a straight swap, but I'm really interested in Bowen. I love Ekatike, but Bowen would make more sense for my team.
Hey,
What do you
let's
think?
hope. I mean, you're coming off a back of some really good tips off the AFCON piece, right? With the Harry
Yeah,
Wilson tip and a few others. I just don't think Jared Bowen's just looking at his stats, he hasn't got over 10 points once this season. Just
mm,
say. I know he's got a few goals and he's got a few assists, and I just don't think West Ham have enough supply for him to warrant the 7.5 price tag. And I know they've got easier green fixtures coming up, but I
yeah,
think West Ham are I think if we think about that, Fulham are not an easy team to play. But Brighton aren't easy. Wolves are getting better. We saw them against Arsenal. They're getting and they're going to get better under
yeah.
Rob Edwards. Forest are getting better as well now under Dyche. You say they're green fixtures for West Ham. I don't think they are. Or they're probably more grey, apart from Wolves. So the
Yeah, and
West
I
Ham
think
have
the
got
fact
some.
that
These are huge games for West Ham.
yeah,
So let's. I think you're right. I think with Bowen, for me personally, I'm not going to jump on him. But as I said a minute ago, he's only 6.5% owned. If you're looking for a differential to jump out of the water, he could be that per player you take that risk on. Um,
yeah, no, definitely. I think the thing with Bowen, which is actually he's less attractive as a striker this year, isn't he? As a midfielder, he was excellent. You could leave him in your team and you could rotate him in and out. But like the back end of last year, I brought him in and he was absolutely insane. But I think he's one of those you can't bring him in for 3 or 4 game weeks. He has to be in for a longer period of time because, like you said, he accumulates points rather than scoring like the 15, 16 hauls. He will steadily do it across the season. And probably if you kept him in the whole season, you'd see the rewards. But frustrating because he's not doing it every week on a big scale. I think that's why you don't see it. But as a third striker, it would be great. But at his price at 7.5, he can't be your third striker. He has to be your second. But it's really interesting, those two. We're really interesting to see what they do in the upcoming weeks because I'm definitely looking at going to one of them, probably edging more towards Ekatike with those two fixtures. And if he does well this week, he is. So hard to do. I'm going to have to butcher my team a little bit. And I'm actually quite happy with my team at the moment.
Yeah, I think if you try and butcher to get him in, I think you're losing balance elsewhere in your team. And I just we know what this the Esther defenders have gone a slightly quieter the last few weeks, but
Yeah.
I don't expect that to continue because it is the DEFCON season. It is the defenders season in fantasy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
True.
I think to get Ekatike and you're taking the risk of losing balance elsewhere on picking up some crucial points.
Definitely. Definitely. Right. We'll just finish the episode with the fixture congestion over the festive period to keep an eye on when transferring players into your team. So, here are the number of fixtures each team has in the remaining 17 days of December. So, teams with 4 games left, which is one game every four
Is this
days,
all competitions?
all competitions, yes. So, Teams with 4 games left, which is one every 4 days: Arsenal, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, and Man United. So a lot of FPL teams have many of those assets. Then teams with 3 games left, which is one in every 6 days. We have Aston Villa, Brentford, Brighton, Burnley, Everton, Fulham, Man City, Forest, West Ham, and Wolves. And a very interesting one: teams with only 2 games left, one in every 9 days. We have Leeds, Spurs, Sunderland, and Liverpool,
I always feel
which
like the
was
Christmas
very
period's way more
interesting.
busy than how it feels right now. Am I missing something?
Yeah, think, yeah, well, how many teams are in the EFL Cup? We obviously had Cardiff,
Oh yeah,
Chelsea
of course.
last night.
City are playing Brentford tonight, aren't they?
Yeah,
Um,
so once those are out of the way, but yeah, 4 games for Arsenal, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Palace, and United. That may have been
well, guess he
17
scored
days
for
left of
Newcastle
December.
tonight. FYI,
Who scored? Who scored?
Whistler.
Did he?
Yeah, I've just checked.
Ooh. We won't talk about him just yet, but let's
Thanks,
have a
Greg.
little look about him, because I think he may, if Walter Marder keeps blanking, come and have a little run. That's interesting one, but
I don't think. Yeah, I think he's gonna. It's interesting that he scored, but I think it's still it's too early for him. I think in
yeah,
terms of fitness wise, he's very similar to Isak, because he didn't have a pre-season. He's not really played any
no,
football now. This is his third appearance for Newcastle, and we're in the middle of December. I
yeah,
think
true,
that's
absolutely,
definitely one for another day. If he
yeah,
rocks up on the weekend and bags that,
yeah,
then there's a question. But yeah, great. Well, that was interesting, Siege. I found that fascinating. That fixture thing is throwing a few thoughts into my mind.
yeah.
Um,
It
there's
was interesting to me
a lot of
because
players
yeah,
in those who have got a game every 4 days that are in my team, and now I'm like, I don't really want them now.
yeah,
Like, is
true.
Saka going to play every single one of those games? Probably not. Palmer's definitely not, so he's definitely a no
No,
go now with that.
no,
Fernandez,
I like.
Fernandez probably will.
Yeah, he will. Yeah, Gay will if he's fit.
Gay will, yeah.
The defense
Um,
will, won't they? Um, I'm
Semenyo will if
glad.
we've got
Yeah,
Semenyo.
I'm glad I only own Sanchez out of Chelsea players. I'm glad I don't own
I don't know any.
any other Chelsea players. Yeah, it's
No.
interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting, mate. Right,
Right. Who's
we'll
doing
call
the
it
honours?
there.
Chef, who's doing the honours this week?
Go on, mate. I think you, after another, as we'll discuss on Friday, another hard to take head to head loss, mate. So go on.
Hey, mate, what can you do? As we saw that quote, it's you can only laugh at fantasy football.
That's it.
You can't let it get to you too much. But cheers, everyone. May the fantasy gods be with you,
Cheers. Cheers. Cheers.
mate.